What do you think? Is there a habit you have or something you do every day that you think makes a positive impact on your day?
It's kind of a double negative, I guess, or it's kind of like a positive and a negative. I don't know if there's a double negative, but I drive around a lot. I
Okay.
spend so much money in gas. Driving is my escape because that's where I can listen to music. And yeah, I can
Okay.
listen to music and be in my like room and stuff, but it's just completely different when you're driving because you're doing two different things. You're in control where you get to go, but it's also you just get to drive and like look at stuff and really imagine and daydream.
I I told that to Ken. I was getting dressed, because now I'm in Chicago and everything's like locked down, and you literally can't, like, nothing's really open.
Yeah.
So, and you can't sit down somewhere to go inside. And I was getting dressed. He's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm just gonna go for a drive."
Yeah.
And I just drove around the city,
Yeah. And
listening
it's
to music.
exactly, and it's fun, and it can help relieve stress for me, but also it is negative because there's times where I'm procrastinating, and procrastinating gives me anxiety, and then I drive to avoid that anxiety, which only causes
Mm.
more anxiety. But then I'm like, oh, so what can I do? So then I go drive even more. But
Yeah.
I think driving is it like it's funny enough because if I ever were to become a musician, and it's something I've actually looked into later down the road, but I think my first like album would probably be called. It had to do something with driving, like long drives
Mhm.
or something. I don't know what to call it, but it's because it's been such a huge part of my life, and I love driving. Like I'll go to Green Bay and back like twice a month, and I've gone to Elkhorn, which is probably
Wait,
four.
wait, wait. So, okay, you drive that far
I
when you
drive
go
that
on these
far.
drives?
Yeah, like
So you live
I
at Racine County, right?
right,
Southeast
right, right.
Wisconsin,
Yeah,
for listeners.
and then like I'll go to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's like 30 minutes, and like that's not enough time for me to think. So then I tried Sheboygan. I was like, okay, that's good enough. And then like I would go to Green Bay, but I've always have gone to Green Bay just for some reason. I think when back in high school, my friend and I would sneak out on school nights and we'd drive to like Green Bay or Madison on a school night. Like,
What?
yeah, we do that because it was just like it's like it gets that reaction like, wait, why? And then like, dude, we were just in Green Bay like 5 hours ago. What did you do in your life? And
Yeah.
I just found out like it's fun to drive whether it's with someone or with someone else.
Hmm.
But I think you start to build connection. It's really weird, but you start to build connections with these roads and these routes that you take. Because when I drive, I take the same routes because that's where sometimes I've had my best moments of self-realization. That's where like I've cried, I've laughed, I've just thought. I haven't. Sometimes I just drive without any music, or sometimes I'll go the entire time singing, or I won't. And it's a great way to kind of find and question yourself on certain situations. But yeah, I'll go to Green Bay, Sheboygan, Janesville is my new place now, which is still like an hour and 20 minutes away. And like I
Do
just
you,
like to
when
go
you're in
everywhere.
Janesville, do you do anything or you just drive
Um,
back or?
a lot of the times I take drone photos, but I you can only take drone
Mm.
photos of so many places. But Janesville it's a cool because there's a bridge that's lit up, and I really like. I don't like Janesville in itself as a town. Other besides like my friend and I went up to a bar there and we had a good time there. But that's like the only memory I have of Janesville. I think it's just more the drive. Um,
Okay.
and like Elkhorn, like each city has its own thing for me. So Elkhorn is like I'll drive out there, and that's when I started to get into running and started to get into fitness. But that was years ago. That's when like I didn't even understand what I was doing until recently, a couple months ago. But that's when like I was pre my girlfriend and then post the breakup, and like I everything stayed the same in that town besides a few construction, but the road stayed the same unless they got paved.
Mm.
But you get the idea. Is like it's like a home away from home, and there's times where like I would just walk out there and then walk back. Sometimes I go to a place, look at the place for 5 minutes and come back. So it's
Really?
something that, yeah, it's like, it's unique when you find someone that's willing to do that with you. And I found a few friends that we just go for drives. So that's just kind of like how it happened. And it was even before quarantine that we would do that
Yeah.
because obviously you couldn't do that with driving. But, how did your drive go with the Chicago thing? Like, what do you think about?
Just what's going on, what I have to do. Sometimes in my apartment, I'm like too, you know, like like my book is like this.
Yeah.
I'm too close. I have to step away. And a lot of times I find that, like for me right now, there's not a lot for me to do except work on my work. So I
Yep.
feel this anxiety if I'm not working because I literally have like so much time to work on it. So there's no excuse. So
Yeah.
it feels weird taking a step back and emptying out my mind a bit, even though when I come back now, I'm able to actually create better and more work, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the magic about driving and people. obviously I'm pretty sure it's illegal just to drive around. I'm pretty sure that's like a law. I forgot what that's called. I think it's like
Really?
cruising. Yeah, I remember actually Dennis told me that. That it's kind of like you're not allowed to like just drive just to drive. But obviously, like if you get pulled over and you can just say like
Yeah.
I'm going to my friend's house.
Yeah.
But
There was this other time. So Chicago was like locked down. It was like a weird time in like March and April. So the
yeah,
city was shut down. You really couldn't go outside. You're only supposed to do like essential things. And because nothing was open, my friend, he has a long distance girlfriend. He lives in New York City. She lives in Chicago. So he came back to quarantine with her. And he's the second person I like broke quarantine with. And there was nothing to do. So we just went in my car and then we just drove around the city for 2 hours and just checked out all the neighborhoods. And it was like one of the best days I've had.
yeah.
Just chilling, looking around. In Chicago, there's so many different things to look at, and each neighborhood is unique. And I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, driving. I'm telling you, driving is definitely it's one. I mean, obviously, I think I've probably spent close to like $1,000 in fuel. I'm like you doing that with your drive Uber and stuff. Like I put on, I'm about to reach 190,000 miles, and I've only had my car for 3 years. So like the reason why is because I drive everywhere. Like honestly, there's been times where I've just
Yeah.
driven to Iowa, Mineral Point, which is
Okay.
Dubuque basically, and I'll go there and I'll come back. And that's like a 2.5 hour drive. So altogether 5 hours.
Wow.
I would like to go to Dork
I
County.
also do it with either ride my bike or I'll take the public transportation. And I lived off the Brown line before, and it goes to the loop downtown and then it comes back.
Yeah.
And I'll just go that. In college, I did that a lot.
Yeah. It's obviously I could go for walks, but it's almost like an addiction in the sense of like I can only walk this path because I can see everything. And then when you're driving, you travel obviously very, fast if you're following on the speed limit. But there's just so much to see. And it's so mundane, but it gives you an appreciation of little things in the sense of like I like these towns for certain reasons. They're personal reasons. I have no connection. I have no liquidation there or housing or whatever there. But like, why do I like it? And it really, you can self-reflect, especially if you go by yourself and maybe you listen to a podcast or you listen to music or you're just having anxiety or a creative block. And I really suggest like that's something that you should take more advantage of. Like bike rides are cool. Don't get me wrong. But I think if you take your car, drive somewhere, then take your bike somewhere else new, it's a completely different experience.